Hello and welcome to What's Next Wall Street. I am Georgia Alfredas. This is your money, your stuff, your technology, and all the crazy things happening between. He is like the man. What's up, Dave? He's Dave Mathews. What the hell? Where are you?
It's the last day of my vacation. I'm in Kos, Greece. That's Kos. You can see the water in the background over my shoulder. And I got my sunglasses on. I got my boat shirt on and my hat on. I don't want to leave, but I'm leaving at 6 a.m. on a flight tomorrow. That means I have to get up at like 3 a.m. with my buddies and get to the airport by 4:30
you are
or so.
so
It's just
sunburned, Dave. I don't think I've ever
so
seen you. I used
sunburned.
to call you white chocolate. I don't even know what to call you right now. You're like brown
Red
sugar.
chocolate.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yep, exactly.
So listen, What's Next Wall Street is where we break down the stocks, the trends, the business stories that could actually affect your wallet. So you are, of course, our resident gadget guy, our science nerd, our tech guru, and you're here to tell us what's actually worth buying, what's worth watching, what's worth worrying about. And so is Greg Krause. But take it away, Dave.
Yeah, somebody has to separate all the cool stuff from the overpriced nonsense. And when things get really serious on the trading side, we're going to pull Greg Krause in from optionplayers.com, who's hanging out in our green room virtually there. Now I'm ready to jump in and make some sense of the market, and I hope he is as well. I noticed since I've been on vacation, it's been going up, 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 which makes me happy.
You? Don't come back to the States. Don't jinx it. Don't jinx
right?
it.
But at least we got Greg being our financial bat signal.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. We're going to keep that. I like that. So whether you're watching us on YouTube or listening wherever you get your cool podcast, let's get into moving your money. I can't believe you're in freaking Greece. You suck. Anyway,
Yeah, so I'm keeping the sunglasses on this whole show.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about a billionaire trying to save some billionaire money. And Google co-founder Sergey Brin has spent about $100 million trying to stop a tax that could cost billionaires, get this, roughly $13 billion. His latest donations are going to build a better California, which is fighting Prop 40. Now, this measure would impose a one-time 5% tax on billionaires to help fund healthcare. So yes, 100 million is a lot of money, but apparently not when you're trying to save 13 billion. But look, Elon left, my old buddy Jason Calacanis, like a ton of people are leaving the California state, whether they were Northern California or Southern California, moving to the great state of Texas. So
no taxes, buddy. No state taxes.
Less taxes.
Well, Okay, and speaking of companies that want to, control the rules, a federal appeals court says social media giants like Meta and TikTok can use Section 230 as defense, but they cannot use it to avoid being sued altogether. Now, thousands of lawsuits accuse the platforms of encouraging addictive behavior, not properly verifying users' ages and not doing enough to protect people from harmful content. I want to know what you think about this, Dave, but the companies wanted Section 230 to shield them from lawsuits over the design of their platforms. Now, the court basically said you can defend yourself in court, but you still have to show up. And that can mean a very expensive legal headache for big tech. What do you think about this and about, guess what? If a kid wants to get on social media, a kid's gonna get on social media. How do you even, I used to watch HBO, when I was like, is this I'm watching? I would turn it off so fast. But
I used to watch it when it was scrambled, just because the audio would pop in every once in a while, and you could almost see like a breast every once in a while.
Okay, so I'm saying if a kid wants to get in, it's gonna be really, really hard. Not that I have children. I want them to be protected, but I just want to know what your thoughts are on this.
Well, look at what's happening with the UK. They just announced an Online Safety Act of 2023. They're letting under 16, there's a social media ban posed for 2027. And really the most telling thing is the guys that have invented this stuff, they don't even let their kids have iPhones or social media until they're 16, 18 or something. So
love that.
Obviously there's something here.
So I did this commercial, Dave, and it was like, how to parent kids. Like it was a 2-3 day thing. And one of the things for Florida, and one of the things that this psychologist was saying was that, listen, you're going to have other parents, their kids are going to have cell phones. You have to get with a parent who's like, no, 16 is when you can get on social media, because she's like, even grown-ups, we are like, we want fast food media now because it's what we're used to. Our attention spans suck. So you imagine giving this to an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old. they don't need to be watching stuff that's 20 seconds and another 20. Oh, something's different. My kid gets
I
in the
mean, we've
car with
even
me.
changed the format of our show to be faster as well, right?
Yeah, thanks to
So
you little brats. Like, cut it out. But I get
yeah.
in the car with my son, my 12-year-old. He's like changing the state. I'm like, no. He listens to 20 seconds of a song. He's like, eh. And I'm like, get in the back, bro. Get in the back. I'm gonna listen to the whole thing, yacht rock all day.
So the guys from MIT made their own version of TikTok, which teaches you educational stuff. But the problem is you have to download a new app. You have to get that installed, which obviously that's a lift, but not so insurmountable that it's difficult. But if you want to follow some cool videos on TikTok, there's Nerd Slip, there's Learny, there's Sift Knowledge Feed, and Revsy. So these are sites that are already on those platforms like Instagram and TikTok, but they're doing content that gets your brain engaged. And I think that's the best thing you can do, because look, it is addictive. And at the end of the night, we grew up in a generation where we used to watch TV, and it was 13 channels, and we were part of the MTV generation
13, like 5.
yeah, okay. Yeah, 13 on the dial, correct. So
Right.
technically, yes, but only 5 channels. And then you know who the remote was? It was us, because
You don't have to change it.
Exactly.
Oh,
So
it's so funny. So funny. Oh my gosh. Hey, you know what you would like, Dave? Have you heard of this guy who does Crunch Labs?
of course.
Oh my gosh, we
Yeah.
get the Crunch Lab things every month. And so my son gets to build something every month, something comes new. And it's like he's building a TV screen, or it's so cool. Okay. So
Yeah, Mark Rober, former NASA
yes,
engineer.
love
He's
him.
super famous. Everyone knows Mark because of his glitter bomb videos, where the porch pirates, the people that come to your front porch to take things. Mark was the guy that put a glitter centrifugal glitter spinner, if you will. So if you pick up the box, it would have a cell phone tracker in it, and a camera and audio, and do real time knowledge of what was happening when those boxes got stolen. But I love Crunch Labs. Years
Didn't know
ago,
that. Didn't know it.
yeah, look at his glitter bomb videos on YouTube. They're amazing. Years ago, 2005-06, my friends and I, with Tim O'Reilly, we started Make Magazine and Maker Faire. So we were celebrating building things in your backyard, and then Maker Faire would be the greatest show and tell on earth, and we would show off what we were building. So that was like one of the favorite things I did, because out of Maker Faire and Make Magazine came MakerBot and Instructables and all these early mid-2000 communities teaching people that they could break their warranty. And I would literally have step-by-step instructions on how to build things. Getting more out, like breaking the warranty, that's kind of just our joke, tongue-in-cheek about it. But really, you could take things apart and repurpose them to give them a second life. And nowadays, that's fast forward to something called the Right to Repair Act. And if you think about what some of these brands are doing, like even Bugatti, they're not letting owners of those vehicles. Now, granted, these are million-dollar cars by billionaires generally, but Bugatti isn't selling parts to people because they're controlling the dealer network for safety. But this is a 200-mile-an-hour car, so they're
Sure.
but there's a whole movement called the Right to Repair movement, and I love it so much. My friends and I even bought a 747 that was decommissioned and turned it into a nightclub. So
Oh my God.
Boeing loved that we were doing that, though, because we were giving the 747 a ton of press in its final year of operation by the carriers. But that's another story for another show.
Yeah. Okay. Go on. We're talking big tech battles.
Yep. So Mark Zuckerberg, you know him, right? He wants the US to loosen the rules around open source or open weight AI. And what that means is right now the models from Claude and OpenAI and some of these other companies, they're closed. So you don't understand how the numbers react. All an LLM is it reads a ton of data. It reads all the books, all the internet, all the trolls, everything. And then it assigns weights to them, or numbers. So what he's trying to do is get AI so American companies can keep up with China by doing these open weight models. Now, Meta is rolling out a smaller model called Muse Glimmer. It's designed to potentially run directly on people's devices, which means like generally your own computer, you might have like 16 gig of RAM if you've got a really nice one. I run 32 in mine, and then my home machine has 64 gig of RAM. But to build LLMs and to build these models, you need hundreds of gigabytes. You need whole data centers. And it's really hard to do that because all of these word associations have to fit into a massive amount of memory. So my friends and I are building a project called Crystallize.ai with a K, KRYSTALIZE.ai, and that runs on a MacBook with 16 gig of RAM. So Mark he's kind of following on me on this. What's up, Mark? What he thinks is you can run it on your iPhone, which iPhones generally have like 8 gigs of RAM, so not as much as laptops these days. So anyway, his argument is that American AI companies have too many restrictions while Chinese companies have more room to experiment. And he doesn't want the US to use its lead, the USA. Basically, Zuck wants more AI freedom and he wants it yesterday. I don't know if you've seen this video that he got on Facebook and Instagram and showed this, but he had this like close up of his head, and the way he starts it's so freaking awkward. Clearly, like he'd been practicing it 1,000 times, and he was trying so hard not to seem like a robot.
He's such a nerd, but I mean, you know what? He's like a billionaire nerd. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, he's on brand.
What are you gonna do? And then there's another company that's trying to figure out exactly what business it's in. Trump Media and Technology Group. I got to bring Greg on because he hates when I talk about Trump. But it's the parent company of Truth Social, just reported a $238 million quarterly loss. But here's where it gets interesting. Most of that wasn't cash flying out the door. About 190 million came from unrealized losses on digital assets and securities versus revenue, which actually rose 89%, but it was still just 1.7 million for the quarter. So this isn't necessarily a story about Truth Social creating losses to dodge taxes. It's not what it is, Greg. You see, that's not what the numbers show. The bigger question is, why does a social media company with 1.7 million in quarterly revenue have billions tied up in crypto and investments? Trump Media is increasingly looking less just like a social media company, more like a holding company with Truth Social attached. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but just saying it's what it looks like. And investors are being asked to bet on what it becomes next. So let's pull Greg up so we can fight. And
I can't wait to hear what Greg says about this.
Greg's like, right, I was talking about Trump. Why is Trump
Who
doing
the hell is investing in Trump Media and Technology Group?
A lot of people are.
If you invest in that company, you deserve to lose all your money. Like, what? Like,
why? I mean, you would think it's the president. Like, I would think the president's doing something. I want to invest in his company.
I wouldn't invest in any presidents. I wouldn't invest in any companies, any president's company. Like, you have risks, right? You have market risk. You need to know human behavior. You need to know all this. And now there's two parties. It doesn't matter which party you are. At some point, you're wrong, right? Because whoever's in power is going to say the other one's wrong, and they're going to have some power over you. So it doesn't matter if I invest in this one or this one. And sooner or later, the other person's going to be in power, and they will attack your company. Period. We see it every time. On both sides are just as vicious. There's not, oh, my side's better. No, it's not. You're just blind. All right? Zero chance. I love a lot. I used to hate Elon Musk companies before he even started getting political. But then things started to get better, and he's if I was going to start a company, I want that guy doing something running it. All right, he's good at getting people to do stuff. Okay, whatever that means. Now the biggest threat to Elon isn't he's not going to do what he says or this. It's political, right?
I think that's why he's tried to back away.
I am definitely not ever going to put any of the money that I ever want to see again into Trump Media and Technology Group.
But he's known for branding.
It's the same people that
he's
bought a Trump coin and then expected to make money off of it or something. Those people deserve to lose their money. I understand about, evolution, Darwinism. This is it 100%. If you bought Trump coin and you complained about losing money, I say 90-90 boo-boo, that's what you get.
But period. The people in the beginning didn't lose money. The people who bought first didn't, right?
Well, so
I don't know.
I'm
asking.
I knew it would have corruption, so I got in when it was when it first IPO'd or whatever. It's not minted. It got minted. Okay. I bought in at like 190. It went up to 300. I'm like, oh my God, all his cronies are going to be buying this. And then I sold it like 70. So I lost a few $100 on that turd.
Yeah, but you're not complaining about it because you knew exactly what was going to happen. Yeah.
It was a rush.
I would think just the opposite. I would think this is a person who knows about branding. His brand is everywhere. Before he became president, he was a brander. He's a TV guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's a matter. Guy. It's overall stocks go up because they get put into X, Y, and Z, and everybody's retirement funds get put in them and stuff like that. But in this case, It's just you have so many risks that you have to look out for when you're doing whatever it is. You have your competitors, you have, the economic risk, supply and demand, everything, logistical. And now you're adding the largest risk to your company is political. That's an issue, because it doesn't matter if you do everything right. That when someone gets empowered, they're going to attack you. It's the same way we see it every time in this or that. You had people attacking SpaceX for something. SpaceX launches stuff for the U.S. government at a fraction of cost of every other company that gets their bids from them. SpaceX could do the same thing, could do all of the stuff the government wants to for a tenth of the price. But for some reason, other companies are getting these things. Why is that? You could say, oh, it's so the other companies can, it's not one-sided. I get that. But you're telling me it ain't political. And I'm not saying they're going against that company. It's let me hand my buddy some money over here or something. I just can't do it. So with that, like I said, don't be buying into Trump media. I'm not looking into their numbers to find out, oh, this is how it's going to be. I look at Trump as a meme stock. The Trump media technology group is no different than that Bitcoin. Okay? That's it. I wouldn't look at the valuation of it like, oh, I'm going to look at the numbers and the revenue rose this. Nobody cares. Nobody's buying Trump media based upon its fundamentals,
Well, yesterday we heard that they're going to give early API access, or last show.
Yeah.
We
But once
talked about
again,
the
that's
100K
only
access.
Nobody cares about Trump social. Who posts on Trump social? Trump?
Exactly.
I do have Trump social. I do have Truth Social. I guess it's the same thing. But that's because when I'm trading, I usually have it up on a screen, because if the market goes crazy, I'm like, oh, I check my news real quick in my Bloomberg, and then I switch over real quick to Truth Social and see if that fool just texts something or something, right? And then I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is, because I want to know what might have caused the spike. Could be nothing. But like if it's something Trump caused the spike, I almost immediately expect it to come back down, because nobody cares what he says. And I do feel like you said, the API, people see that it happens. There's third parties that do it now anyways. And then their algorithm says, oh, what he just did is going to cause the market to go up, and they start buying it a little bit. And I'm like, well, that's just going to come back down. Nobody cares, and then I'll try to bring it back to the norm. But if I don't know what's causing it, I kind of just stay out of it, right? So, but yeah, don't, what is Trump Media Technology Group? I don't know who's getting paid in that company, because you can say, oh, it took this amount of loss, this and this and this. Well, losses also include wages. So you might want to find out who's getting overly paid in a company that might be getting millions, if not hundreds of millions of investment. Who are these people that are running this technology group that I think Dave could set up probably in about 2 hours in his little Greece Kos over there. He could just set up the whole company, but there's probably 50 million admin people over there making millions of dollars a year. That is just a way to legally give money to X, Y, and Z. Let's be honest.
When I looked up on AI how many employees there are, it says between 31 to 36 full-time employees. And sometimes I'll look through True Social on LinkedIn. Let's do that real quick. That's one click away here, and see if there's a number there. It just says 9 employees. So not everybody. I think that's kind of telling that if the AI says there's 30 something employees, but LinkedIn only sells 10, there's probably a bunch of people that don't want people to know that they're working there. So take that for what it's worth.
It could, but where's AI getting the numbers from? It could be getting numbers from a TikTok video where someone says, this and this and this is doing it, So
that's a good point.
Yeah. But I bet, like I said, they're probably making $1 million plus a year. Half of those people on there, it's.
Mm-hmm.
I would check.
All right, now from True Social into tracking you. Have you heard about the flock safety cameras? I bet, Greg, you love these in the neighborhood, right? Well, maybe they're not in your backyard. Maybe that's not really what you're.
We have cameras on we don't have a lot of red lights here, but yeah, we have those little cameras. This is the thing. I am not against flock cameras because I think everybody wants to complain about the stuff, but the same people that want to complain about it want to complain about cops having to wear things or making them wear it, both sides of that one. Or, I don't want this. You have a phone that's listening to you every second of the day. It was funny. I forgot what we were looking at. I was buying a new desk, right? I just bought a Flexi Spot, 7 Pro, the little standing desk and stuff. And we were in my room on my computer with my phone here, and I was wearing my Meta glasses. My wife's phone was in the kitchen, which is on the other side of the house, okay? When she opened it up, the first ad that popped up on her Facebook stuff, guess what it was? Flexi Spot.
It was the desk, of course.
Hell did they know that we were talking about it in here? Nothing in this room is connected to her account in any way, right? Everything is listening, but you're worried about this flock camera.
So TVs technically are watching. What I would do is if you have a Samsung, LG, or any one of those smart TVs, I would immediately remove the internet connectivity from that and then use something like an Apple TV or probably Fire Stick's just as bad because Amazon was using the Fire Stick to see which printers you had on your network so they could advertise ink cartridges to you. But yeah, we're definitely in a surveillance state. But flock cameras, they're not the traditional red light cameras. They're an extra camera where they're
I get
looking.
What you're saying.
There's 120,000 cameras across the U.S. capturing license plates and other vehicle information. Now, police departments use this system to help find stolen cars, missing people, and suspects. But critics and a whole slew of them on YouTube, you can watch video after video of YouTube about flock, say that we're building a nationwide surveillance network with one camera at a time. Now, a Tennessee congressional candidate is facing a felony vandalism charge after allegedly shooting at a camera. Connecticut's government has offered a review, and Congress is considering legislation that require federal agents to get a warrant to access the data. Now, the problem with this system is that anyone can share the login. Did you know that within the early days of Facebook, and even more recently with Uber, anyone with database rights could log on to either of those accounts and see what Facebook messages you were sending or what rides press were taking late at night? Now, Travis, the ousted CEO of Uber, famously called this his God view. So none of this is new. In Houston, there were police departments there that were letting ICE agents log in and look for license plates across the whole network. So it's just not, anything that can be hacked will be hacked. And in this case, it's not really being hacked. It's being shared.
But once again, these are not cameras that are breaking your privacy in a sense. These are cameras that are in a public venue, on public property, videotaping what you do in public. You have no reasonable right of privacy in public. And to say a flock camera is used to catch someone doing illegal stuff, I get it. I'm not a guy that's going to be out there and be like, oh, police this or police that. I got it, right? I have a closet that is a safe. I have night vision, thermals, every type of optic to use in those, right? And I understand that will stop me from doing crazy stuff if I ever wanted to go in the flock. But guess what? I'm not crazy. I'm not doing anything where I'm going to get in trouble by this flock camera. I think it's a talking point where if you're a law-abiding citizen, and I don't like the surveillance, right? Everybody's like, oh, but what are you doing? That's my I like that it should be on the roads. I don't care about that. If it's not detecting you for speeding and stuff, okay, that's whatever. They had those. Right. But what is it doing?
The problem that I have with it is the jurisdiction should be only the local community leadership, the police, for the city you're in. The fact that it's open and anybody can get into it.
Yeah, but that's the same thing. Everybody complains about a company doing this, or this company gets sued for losing your data, right? Happens all the time. The FBI has lost your data every year for the last 30 years. Every social security, name, date of birth, every year they get hacked and everything is gone. And then a company gets sued, but it doesn't matter what the company got sued. The FBI gave them all your information anyways.
That's right.
So,
and if you want to check this out in your community,
take
a look at DFLOC. It's DEFLOCK.org. and you can see they have 128,000 cameras mapped. But what I'm seeing on social media is people going out with sawzalls, which are little small battery operated saws, and they're cutting these
them
down.
off. Yeah, hey, I'm
Yeah,
whatever, dude. I
this
don't care what people
in
do.
the UK they had a bunch of ticket cameras, and people would throw tires around them and catch them on fire a couple decades ago. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, I think they were doing it not just like this last year or something, right? It was two. They were going up, cutting them down. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
But
All right,
I
well,
get
let's
it.
talk
I mean,
about
UK
DOGE.
is already monitored to death, right? So,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It is what it is.
Yeah, since we're talking about government, let's just jump into DOGE here. Now, Elon's former Department of Government Efficiency claimed it saved $215 billion with a B. The Government Accountability Office says not so fast. The GAO found some of DOGE's savings claims were wrong or lacked supporting evidence. In one example, millions in lease savings were counted, even though some of those leases were already being terminated before DOGE existed. Trying to boost the numbers there. So that issue isn't necessarily whether spending was cut, but who gets to claim the savings. Greg, you were out of the federal government before DOGE could have knocked you out, but I would say you would have been on the chopping block, huh?
Absolutely not. I technically probably wouldn't have been on the paper for them, right? Because my unit didn't get money that was visible, right? But I would like to admit that the Government Accountability Office has failed the government audit program for the last 3 decades. So do I care what they say about numbers, or do I care about any government agency says about numbers, or independent? No, I don't. Because if the government, let's use jobs, for example. We're going to use the job numbers. This is my favorite one. Everybody will write about jobs every month and say, Trump added jobs here. Trump didn't do no jobs. Or Biden added jobs here. Biden didn't add no jobs, right? And then Biden added 16, but really it came out to be 8. Once again, every month, companies pay into Social Security and Medicare. Everyone. So all non-pay goes to the government. You have the numbers right there. Why do we use those numbers that are factual, easy to get? No. We create this massive agency who is only made to do this, this, and this, and this to give us estimations. And then they hire 5,000 people to do it, and then they give us numbers that are wrong. That is bureaucracy or the government in whole. It doesn't matter if it's the Government Accountability Office who cannot pass an audit, crazy on that one, DOGE or anyone else. That agency has to say it's doing this, this, or this, or it looks bad. And you can have 2 of them that will say by the numbers they're both doing it and they're contradictory to each other. It's just how it's going to be. Because if it's not, guess what it won't do? It won't get refunded. It won't get more money. It's all trash. Like, I can't... I really like the government, but I just can't, like, it's just... Being in the military, I saw it too much. Like, I mean, like,
Yeah.
you know, like,
You
hey,
see the
you have to
inefficiencies.
spend the money. You know, they're like, hey, here's your credit card. And then I get yelled at because I didn't use all the money on the credit card. And I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, I got to use $2 million. They're like, yeah, if we don't, they'll take some out of our next month. And I'm like, what am I going to buy? And they're like, I don't know. Like, nope. I just asked people, what do they want? And nobody told me anything, you know. Well, you got to buy something. I'm like, this is crazy. You know?
Well, by
I'm
the
not
time this
surprised,
show's
though.
yeah, well, by the time this show airs, I'm going to be on my way to Monterey Car Week. It's one of my favorite things that's going on right now. I'm kind of missing it being in Greece, but I'm going to have to fill up my old air quote Porsche with gas. It's going to be $100 or north of that because it's a 19-gallon tank, and something that is hitting everybody's wallet right now, and that is the cost of oil trickling down into things like, I don't know, groceries being delivered to your store or the cost of gas at the pump. Now, this is interesting. America's Strategic Petroleum Reserve has now fallen below 300 million barrels for the first time since the 1980s. It's now holding it's just like right under. It's 298.7 million barrels. Now, this is after releases authorized by the Trump administration. The reserve can hold more than 700 million barrels, but it's being drawn down as global oil supplies face disruption from the war involving Iran and shipping problems around the Strait of Hormuz. All this matters because when oil gets nervous, the gas pump usually gets the memo. So let's see, oil price, what's the barrel of oil today, Greg? Do you know?
83-ish. Let me check. I
Okay.
was actually looking 83.30 right now. Yeah. It's
Okay,
actually
so
yeah.
a couple years ago, I was running an energy venture studio out of Houston, and we were funded by a lot of the energy companies there. And oil was around $70 a barrel. And in order for the machine to work there, that meaning you've got it's prospecting. You don't know if there's going to be oil and then there are hills you're going to drill in. You really have to have oil at $70 a barrel in order for you to put more money in to start prospecting for more oil.
And
so
today,
the fact that
right, it used to be short, shallow oil, and that was more I dig in here and it hits. Now they go deep, and I mean, it doesn't really. It's almost like you just keep drilling until you hit oil, right? But that costs money. It's fracking, right? That's what you're doing is you're pushing down there, squeezing it, throwing it up. I'm not going to get into the crazy. So now they're just making the shallow ones deeper, but that costs probably, I don't know how much, probably like 10 million a well. Yeah, so you got to make money, right?
But also the drills are steerable, and they put little uranium elements in them so they can see using machinery where the bit's going underground. It's unbelievable how much technology they're using. Ground penetrating radar. They're putting fiber optic cameras down boreholes. It's really clever what's happening now. So yeah, I'm not excited for this extra cost at the pump there. Hey,
Yeah,
George,
and I
did we
mean, the
get you
thing
back?
is, when you look at the spot price, though, of oil being at 83, and then the gas prices, I think the average gas price in America is probably closer to, let's say, $4. I know here it's like 350, but I'm in Louisiana, Texas. You know, we get cheaper oil. But if you go back to the last time oil was at this price in the spot, gas prices were typically 250. Where is this extra dollar coming from? And people were like, oh, that's because of the risk. No, risk is built into the price of the spot oil, because spot oil is based upon futures, right? What it's going to cost in the future. So when we look at those future prices, they're the same. So where's this dollar? I don't know. I mean, I'm not blaming it on X, Y, and Z. And I was explaining to someone, it could have been when gas was really expensive. Some of the fuel companies were like, we'll lower our margins, but when the price dips, we'll keep it up a little bit more to make our more money. I think that's kind of what's probably happening. But just so you know, we are spending more oil and we're putting it out there, but we make a lot more. You know, that oil's iffy. It's not really going to collapse our market, but it's a global market. That's not a big issue. It's not back to like 60 or 70, but really anywhere from like 70 to 85 is normal. That's like where the United States kind of wants its oil prices. But our gas should be cheaper than it is right now, technically. And it's not because of the war. They're using it as an excuse. Whenever you have an excuse to be used, then they're going to try to make more off of it. And can I blame them? Not really. They're making money. You should have started an oil company.
And it takes hours for that news. It takes hours for the gas price to go up and months for it to come back down. So the fact that we've had a bit of a reprieve in the last month is pretty good. All right, so let's talk about the grocery cart. It could be getting a government makeover. The Trump administration is moving to create a federal definition of ultra-processed food, something the U.S. doesn't officially define. That's interesting. The HHS and FDA and USDA are also moving to give the FDA more oversight of food ingredients companies classify as generally recognized as safe, or GRAS, GRAS. The big question is, who's going to decide what's ultra processed and what happens to the companies making it? Look, Greg, I'm in my halfway through life stage, and if something comes out of a bag that's not a carrot, I try not to eat it. But man, if I go to a party and I see a tub of Doritos on the in a bowl, man, it's so hard for me to not grab one of those and go for it. What's your take on ultra processed foods?
First, I get what they're saying, because you get it's ultra. Who designs what ultra is, right? So, I think what you're saying there is what companies would be the worst in making it.
Or no, how do we define it, right? So
I know.
A lot
I
of
would
these
assume that
things,
we're really, like high fructose corn syrup crap is going to be huge. Doritos. I bet you the biggest one's going to be chocolate. Hershey's, right? Hershey's, Nestle, Pepsi, Coke. I think those are going to be the ones where over 70%.
Reynolds Nabisco too, right?
Yeah. So I bet you over 70% of their products would be considered highly processed, like processed to the extreme, right? They would definitely be on the ultra side if you're going to, if you set in a limit and Hershey's isn't up there in ultra processed, nothing is basically, right? So I think there the companies are going to be hit. Do I know if that's going to make a difference? This is going to come back to political side. The answer is, do Americans care if they're eating ultra processed? Here you go. No. You have some people that are going to say, I don't want to eat this, I don't want to eat processed, but really, those are just the loudest individuals you see. Everyone that's clicking like on their stuff is then going to McDonald's and eating a Big Mac, right? Let's just be honest. All right? If
That's
it
right. I
wasn't
forgot
an
about
issue and we weren't all eating Doritos and all this, then PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, they make most of the chips, by the way, and Hershey, and that would not be the company they are today, right? They, especially now. But then if it's ultra processed, right? This is, I know this came out like today and I didn't read it all, but I think they didn't define ultra processed either. Still, they didn't. They failed to do that. What happens if something is all ultra processed and then it's clearly bad for you? Is every ultra processed thing going to be taken off of all SNAP benefits? There you go. So now I want to know, those Doritos and all that other stuff that was is that going to be able to be getting through SNAP? And you're probably like, oh, they don't get that on SNAP. Oh, yes, they do. Okay. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yes, 100%. So you have to watch that on the political side too, because hey, they might, if that hits, a lot of things maybe that are ultra processed wouldn't be SNAP. I mean, you get what I'm saying? It might fall off of some other government agency or government programs because it's considered ultra processed or whatever. How is that going to affect? So I do think that will end up doing it. And that's why likely they didn't define ultra processed food, is because those lobbyists for those 4 companies I just named are out there like, don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Don't name it.
Well, remember when Coca-Cola, they went from a 12-ounce can to the little 7.5 mini can as kind of like the standard size.
Yeah, I call it the European can.
Yeah. But those are in America now. They started in Europe. But look, these sugars, obviously, they're detrimental to us. And think about all the food deserts. The food desert's an area where residents have little or no access to affordable, fresh, and nutritious food. And you got to know those SNAP payments, it's so easy to buy some ding dongs. I mean, like I got through high school eating ding dongs and chocolate shakes versus a little smashed burger they were trying to make there and call meat. But look, these food deserts inside of urban areas, that money from SNAP is going to buy junk food because it's so easy and it's so addictive. So if it can help solve that problem, then I'm all for that.
I think it comes back to something else you were talking about, screen time and all this else, right? It is screen time leads to how brains work and how kids learn, leads to that dopamine rush of wanting instant gratification. It's no different than when I was younger. I was tired. I just wanted to eat and I would just eat whatever. Now that I'm, like you said, I'm long in the tooth, so say, I have a garden. Every day I sous vide some steak, which people are going to be like, steak or tuna, right? People think tuna steaks are expensive. I can get tuna steaks for like $3, like for, a half a pound tuna steak. Yeah. And so you're like $7. I got me and my wife a tuna steak and then just grill that up. It takes 2 minutes, right? Or you could get, I know people don't eat pork, but pork loin is about cheap as you can get. Although for some reason my belly don't like pork loin or pork really too much, but it's out there. And like you said, why is it a food desert? It's because you put 25 million people. I know I'm over exaggerating the number. You put all these people into a little city because you needed them to do factory jobs. You needed them to do X, Y, and Z, and it was easier to take care of them. All this BS, right? After maybe the Great Depression and later on World War II and after that. Now you have all the food is not made there. It's made elsewhere. So now you got to ship it here. And now you got to do things to make it shelf stable to get to the market, which that has its own issues also that I think we're going to be talking about. Right. So what do you do with all that? I don't know. You have to process it so it's shelf stable.
It's shelf stable. Exactly. Yep.
So
we're going to be no doubt we're going to be tracking this.
Yeah.
Greg, put that on your radar for a future episode of What's Next Wall Street. Let's get into the next thing we want to talk about, which is vaccines. Trump has signed an executive order calling for a narrower childhood vaccine schedule. So recommendations covering 11 diseases instead of the 18 previously included. It also calls for breaking the MMR vaccine in 3 separate shots. I don't know MMR. Is that mRNA? Greg, do you know what that one is?
Your measles, mumps, that one?
Oh, yes,
is MMR,
yes. Thank
right?
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Into 3 separate shots. Could
rubella
that mean changes for vaccine makers, doctors, and families, although the order doesn't necessarily change every state's requirements? Right. So the federal government makes guidelines. The cities keep it real in their jurisdictions. Yeah.
Yeah. Do I think it's going to be, if that's a question, is I think what stocks is that going to affect?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Merck, Pfizer, GSK.
I don't think it's going to make a difference.
They're so far diversified into other things.
It's not even that. How many vaccine shots have you gotten in your life? You don't even know, because you got them all when you're a baby.
Know, yeah.
All right, I'm in the
exactly.
okay, you got some COVID ones or something probably, but like I'm in the military, I got shots all the time. I don't know what they were, Hep A or Hep B every like 3 or 4 years, or you had to have them like 24 months apart. Okay, we got them. But you get them most of the time besides flu ones and stuff like that, and that's because the flu, why can't I say? It changes. Tell me, why can't I think about what that's called?
It mutates, yeah, but,
okay,
but
yes.
I mean,
it's natural mutation, and it changes the outer
and they
proteins
have to guess
and everything,
which
so
one,
you have to adjust that. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't even know like what it's going to be. They have to make a guesstimation on what it's going to be for the vaccine. So you might get a flu vaccine. It doesn't have anything to do with the strain.
They look
that's
at the
released.
ones that they think are going to be the worst, and they hit those 4 or 5, right? Yeah. So, so the flu shot is every year, but the problem is that does take a little bit of changing, and but other vaccines have stayed the same. So now you don't have that expensive. Now anybody can make it, basically, is what I'm saying. You don't have that. It's not copywritten, but you know what I'm saying. So other people can make the knockoff version.
Yeah, the generics.
So yeah, but it comes back to this. You get it once. Nobody's out there dying for it, right? Like they're like, oh, give me this vaccine. You know, it's just not happening.
Well, I don't take them now. Yeah. Like the flu vaccine, I'm pretty bulletproof.
What do you think?
Far.
And everybody, they're going to make money. What do you think pharmaceuticals make their most money on? Well, some of them make it on oncology medicine or cancer, right? That's going to be a huge one, right? That's why we haven't cured cancer, but somehow we can cure all this other stuff, all right? Because number one, that makes a lot of money.
It's not because of a business relation.
I know. I'm just
decision. It was just.
And then, what do you think the number one profitable medicine is?
Oh, it's got to be. I mean, there's so many that are. Geez, is it blood pressure? Because
that's actually semi-correct. Metabolic or cardiovascular disorders. But on the metabolic side, right, what are we really talking about there? Ozempic and other weight loss drugs, right? Ozempic is a great thing for type 2 diabetes or blood coagulation crap and all that. But who is actually using Ozempic, right? It's everyone that doesn't have any of those problems. So is the vaccine going to affect it? No, that vaccine might have made that company $12 million while get this shot, and it potentially will make you lose weight for 3 months until you gain it all back, fatty, they're going to make $30 billion off of it, right? So I mean, you're looking at something that might have effects of, world health, maybe in a way, but it's not going to make a difference in the stock market. So, don't worry about that.
But
once again, pharmaceuticals is a very issue, so I would stay away from trading a single pharmaceutical.
Yeah. Nordic, is it Nordisk? What's the company that does that started the GLP-1?
What is it?
Nordic, the publicly traded company. No, there it is. Nordic Pharmaceutical, the Novo Nordisk, the Danish company. Let's see what they're trading at right now, just for fun, as we wrap the show here today. Stock price. Nordic is 370 DKKs. So I'm sure they're traded here in America too for USD. Greg, you might know that symbol. NVO, it looks like.
Yeah, MVO, but I mean, like I said, I don't think I think it's like 45 here, but 45.15. But what do you call it? Trading individual pharmaceuticals it's really risky, right? Because you just don't know what's going to pop out. There's so much insider information, right? By the time you get the information, there are hundreds of people that were working on the drug that know exactly how it's performed. And to assume that nobody said anything to anyone and then that didn't get passed, no. Every firm has some people that are out there trying to get human information from those individuals, however it is, to then make a bet on it. And you're like, well, that would be illegal. No, it's not. If I just go hang out where those people eat lunch and overhear it, and then I go back and I make the bet, that's legal. Even if I intended to go to that restaurant to overhear your stuff. Now, if I hack into your email, maybe not, right? But then you also have to prove what I did. Well, that's not going to happen. And also, I'm probably best friends with the people at the SEC because they used to work for my firm, so it doesn't really matter, right? So it's just, I stay away from pharmaceuticals for that reason.
Yeah, I'm not into it either, because it is like, live or die by the sword with the FDA, and it looks like it's going to be like that with the current administration as well. But there's a few of them here, ETFs, that are like PPH, IHE, XPH. Looks like Eli Lilly and Novartis have PPH in theirs. So, Invesco has one too called PJP. So that might be interesting for you guys if you want to get into that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's right, like I said, if you're doing a diverse, I would just go that route. Like you said, get the fund, not the individual.
Exactly. All right. Well, I'm in Greece over Starlink. My friends just brought me the Sunset Rosé, so you can look in the background and see a little bit of the water as sun creeps in here. Georgia connected to a Dallas fiber connection. We lost her halfway through the show. So, Greg, thanks for standing up here and being the co-host on this. You got upgraded on this show. And I know Georgia this week took her kids back to school. So summer is over. I head back to the U.S. Tomorrow. But I'll be at Monterey Car Week. So if anybody's heading out there, leave some notes in the comments here. Share the show with your friends. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already. And I got to get up at 7 a.m. So I'm going to have a nice last Greek dinner. Man, the salads here, Greg, the tomato, the feta. I had a cheese that was cured in wine. Have you heard of this? Wine cured cheese in Greece. Have you heard of this thing?
I have been everywhere basically in the world. And I remember I was in a trip to Europe and I went to Italy. And I left England and I wasn't trying to eat. And I went to Italy and I was like, this food sucks. I mean, it just wasn't good. Then I went to Greece and I was like, oh yeah, this is fire. Like, and I was used to the Mediterranean style stuff, even in the Middle East when I was there, like pita bread that's cooked right there on the, everything was good. But then, I like cheese, I like fish, and it just had more spice. So when I went there, I left Italy, which I don't care if you think Italians have a lot of spice or they don't. It's plain as crap. Okay. It was just like, this is spaghetti that someone watered down. I'm going to be honest. But remember, I'm from Louisiana, so I like, I live in Louisiana at least, and then I was in Memphis. We like hot, we like spice.
Cajun style.
Yeah, so when I went to Greece, that was where it was at, man. It was good.
Yeah,
it was kind of a mix
specific,
of that Middle Eastern.
I just looked it up. Yeah. It's cheese aposia, and what they do is they use sheep's or goat's milk, then they mature it for at least 1 month in wine lees, or posia as the locals call it. And so I guess I got one more night of Posia and I got my rosé here. So, hey, thanks for tuning in to What's Next Wall Street. We'll be back next week. Next week I prep for Burning Man. So I guess vacation's not over. So it's bad.
I mean, thinking about doing that. I hate people, so we're surrounded.
Well, people, our viewers love you. If you need to ask Greg some questions, hit him up, greg@optionsplayers.com. You can email me, WNWshow@gmail.com, and we'd love to hear from you. Let's get some feedback here and leave some notes down here in the YouTube. And thanks for watching.